FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz, and today is 11/28/19. Hope you all had a great Thanksgiving. We did, hanging out with our local friends here, displaced South Florida people who didn't want to hang out with their family or couldn't make it or don't have any family. Myself, I just don't want to travel on the busiest travel day of the year. And hey, speaking of that, when you hit Thanksgiving, you know that December 31st is coming. If you haven't done your tax planning, you better start doing it now. We've got a special guest on for you to learn about some opportunities that you might not otherwise be aware of. Tell me what you're doing for your taxes, what unique strategies you're using. Please email me, kl@kerrylutz.com. Well, Dusty Rollins is a tax expert, tax strategy expert. We're really happy to have him on with us, Dusty. So, you know, we're approaching the end of the year. What can you do to lower your taxes at this point, at this late point in the day?
Well, thank you, Kerry, so much for having me on. I'm thrilled to be here and thrilled to get to interact with your audience. And like you, I'm a little more north. I'm in Central Florida trying to survive this, frigid 70-degree weather. So if we both survive, we'll finish out the year.
It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it, right?
Exactly, Kerry. So thank you so much for having me on the show. And to start your question, the first thing that I talk to people is they just need to know that there are differences between tax planning and tax preparation. So there are actual strategies that you can use to cut your taxes. And most people know about that, but they don't know exactly how those strategies play out. Or secondly, Kerry, they don't know, or they think their CPA is just handling it. So they just kind of default it and then just hold their breath and pay whatever taxes their CPA tells them they owe at the end of the year.
Mm-hmm. And so you're telling me there's a better way to do this?
Absolutely. So what I do, I'm a tax strategist. So I'm qualified to do taxes, but I'm not good at the tax strategy. So I can't do the actual tax preparation well. It's a lot of numbers and a lot of things. I'm great at the strategy of saying, okay, I consider the difference between playing chess and playing checkers. So, a lot of, in my opinion, CPAs just play checkers. So at the end of the year, what did you spend? What did you buy? Is that deductible or is it not deductible for your taxes? We like to play chess. So we're saying, a good chess player, which I'm not actually a good chess player, I'm a good tax chess player. A good chess player is 4 moves ahead, right? So you make a move, they already know what they're going to move 3 or 4 ahead. And that's what we think tax planning is. Those strategies are making those moves ahead of the game.
Mm-hmm. So you got to be thinking ahead, obviously. So what do you do here? So give me some examples of people you've helped and help them come up with really good strategies. Perfect.
So one of the biggest mistake we see business owners make is, like we just said, not actually thinking about planning. They just kind of defaulted to their CPA or accountant and hope and expect that they're doing the planning, and they're just not. It's a bad business model. They're good people, just a bad business model. So one of the clients, business owners we started working with just a couple of weeks ago, he had a CPA of 18 years. So we started doing a tax plan. And so he didn't have to fire his CPA. We were just kind of doing a second opinion, if you will, a second glance over. And we immediately noticed that his CPA that he had used for 18 years put his rental property on the wrong form. We have no idea why. Mm-hmm. And it's not a huge deal, except it cost him $948 in extra self-employment tax. Now, again, to a lot of your listeners, they're killing it. They're crushing it. $948 is nothing, right? But just think that was just because the numbers were put on the wrong form, and think of where other mistakes could add in. Does that make sense?
Yep, certainly does. So how much did you wind up saving this guy?
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Financial Survival Network is brought to you today by Orin Resources, a junior exploration company with the appetite of a major. It's hot on the trail of the next globally significant discovery, creating enormous potential upside for you, the shareholder. Orin is one of the most aggressive exploration companies pursuing high-grade, scalable gold and copper deposits, and has a premier 7-project portfolio, including its 2 flagships, Committee Bay in the Arctic and Sombrero in Peru. Orin's unparalleled technical team and highly experienced management has a history of success in advancing and monetizing exploration assets. No wonder Orin's been called one of the best in the junior exploration sector. Orin trades on the TSX and the NYSE under AUG. To learn more, go to orinresources.com. That's AURYN resources.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
So the team we use, we charged $150 to do the amendment, and so he got a net $800 back because he got the $948 refund. But then through the proactive, so that was kind of going back through the proactive tax strategies, we ended up shaving another about $7,000 off of his bill because he just wasn't using the tax code like it's designed to be used.
And how is it designed to be used other than screwing you out of your hard-earned dollars?
Well, it's interesting, Kerry. I see that you have an Austrian School of Economics background. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
So, and I am a wannabe. I've read what's the group over at Auburn University?
That's the Mises,
one of those institutes.
MisesInstitute.org. Yes. Mises.org.
Right. So I've read some of their stuff. A lot of it goes over my head. I'm not as smart as you are, but they talk about the sound money principles, right? They're wanting to go back to those days of sound money principles. And so I think what I like to tell people is that a lot of business owners just think that you just have to pay the taxes. It's, you just have to flow through the system. But what we tell them is there's 3 levels, and I think this will excite some of your listeners, Kerry. Others won't care. So the 3 levels of taxpayers, level number 1 is an employee. You get a W-2, and basically you're screwed. We have a saying, the IRS punishes you if you don't have a business because, you have about 3 write-offs and and nothing else. It's a very simple tax return. There's just not a lot of play if you're just an employee and do not have a business. So we tell a lot of people, if it's legitimate, go ahead and start a business. That's level 2, that business owner. And the business owner, that's the standard stuff we've heard about. Can I deduct my vehicle in 1 year or over time? Can I deduct, my home office? Can I deduct miles and meals and all of the deductions and the write-offs? That's level 2, and that's important, and we do that. But what we love to do with our clients is level 3. We call this is kind of the Navy SEALs. This is the elite level, and this is going to be hard for somebody. I'm just kind of assuming from that Austrian school and your freedom thinking, this is going to be a tough bullet to swallow. But let me explain. Level 3 is you actually partner with the IRS. Now, it's a partnership where you sleep with one eye open. It's not a partnership, that you are going into with complete trust. But what you're doing is the government uses the tax code to drive behavior. So when the behavior that you're wanting to do as a free-minded, free-loving American, the wealth-building behaviors that we're wanting to do, when they line up with the incentives the government is wanting to do, magic happens. Did that make sense at all?
Yeah, I understand that. Sure. Of course.
So that level, this is anecdotal. I don't have polls and surveys, but that level is accessed by very, very, very tiny percent of the top level in this country. And that's where you start looking at real estate. I know that you've apparently done some real estate stuff and you're into metals. The government likes to reward people for moving into investing in real estate. So that's a simple one that a lot of people know about. But then you have other things like ESOPs, which are capital management programs that the government will actually allow you. They want you to do this, and it helps the business owner free up capital that would have gone to taxes. And this capital can go to expand business, buy other businesses, build assets, and other things like that. So the real key is the IRS can actually help you build wealth if you're working with what they're wanting to do anyway. And again, I'm not saying you just do what they want you to do, but when those two align up, that's when the magic can happen.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. So real estate's just one example then.
Yes, and it's a big one. Once you start to get, it's that old joke, when you get into commercial real estate and you start getting into non-recourse loans, and that old joke where, if you owe 50 grand to the bank, you have a problem. If you owe 5 million, they have a problem, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you start getting up in those high levels where the banks deal with you differently, and then also the government deals with you differently. So there's a whole tax credit system and a marketplace. I know a guy down here in Winter Park. He's for about 30 years. He was one of the nation's top tax credit exchangers, if you will. So they would buy a property, the government would give certain tax credits, and then they can actually sell those tax credits for a certain percent on the dollar. And that's the incentive to build whatever those that commercial real estate that was needed.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay, so there's a lot of ways to skin this cat, and but how do you if you're an employee and you're not doing these things, what do you do?
Great question, and about your best option is to start a business, to start a side business. And again, you have to have, there's some misnomers there. You have to have a profit intent. Mm-hmm. And if you go too many years without a profit, you can't set it up just for a tax shelter. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people in this day and age, we found too, a lot of people say in that over 50 category, where their career has kind of shifted and they're doing some consulting on the side, with continuing on their main job. That's an ideal example of being able to start a business. You start that business, and then that opens up huge portions of the tax code that aren't open to just to the employee.
Right. Gotcha. All right. So if people want to find out more, you've got a book coming out. Just tell us where to go.
You can go to DustyRollins.com, ROLLINS, DustyRollins.com. And then the book is called The Taxpayer Manifesto, and it'll be on Amazon and primarily Amazon, and then on my site as well.
All right. Excellent. Well, hey, we'll have a link in the show notes to your site. Just go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com, sign up for a newsletter if you haven't done it already. Our Twitter feed's at Kerry Lutz, our Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. And, well, Dusty, it's been a pleasure having you on, and wish you the best of luck on the book. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Thank you very much, Kerry. Take care.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.